students, welcome back. Now we are starting with the next unit of our syllabus, unit number 5, states of matter. Okay, matter, you know, anything which occupies space and which has mass. Now there are 3 states of matter. Okay, solid, liquid and gas. Okay, and we know the difference between the 3 states of matter. Okay, what is solid? Definite shape and volume. Okay, they are generally hard and rigid. The internal arrangement is like this. Okay, the particles are tightly packed. Okay, the force of attraction between the particles is maximum or highest. What is liquid? Definite volume but indefinite shape. Okay, the shape is not fixed. Liquids take the shape of the vessel in which they are filled. Okay, this is liquid state. There is some space between the particles. Or you can say that as compared to solids, the intermolecular distance is increasing. As compared to solids, the intermolecular attraction is decreasing. So in between the particles, some space is there. The particles can move. Okay, and what is gas? Gases have neither definite shape nor definite volume. Okay, the shape is not fixed as well as the volume is not fixed. Okay, and the intermolecular distance between the particles is maximum. Now, solid can be changed to liquid, liquid can be changed to gas, we all know. Likewise, gas can be changed to liquid and liquid can be changed to solid. And you know, a substance can exist in any of the 3 states under appropriate conditions of temperature and pressure. Okay, and one very good example is water. Okay, now at room temperature and normal atmospheric pressure, water is liquid. But we can change water to ice also. Okay, and we can change water to steam. Steam means to gas also. So a single substance can exist in any of the 3 states. Okay, if you change the conditions of temperature and pressure. So one thing we can conclude that in general a substance is said to be solid if its melting point is above room temperature under atmospheric pressure. A substance is said to be liquid if its melting point is below room temperature but the boiling point is above room temperature, and a substance is said to be a gas if its boiling point is below room temperature under atmospheric pressure. Okay, so under appropriate condition of temperature and pressure, a substance can exist as a solid, as a liquid or as a gas. So this was introduction to the 3 states of matter, solid, liquid and gas. Okay, now in 11th class we have to discuss only 2 states of matter. Okay, that is liquid state and gaseous state. Solid state we are going to discuss in 12th class. So this chapter mainly focuses on the properties of gases, properties of liquids like this. But before starting with the liquid state or the gas state, first we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is intermolecular forces. So the name itself is giving you the definition intermolecular, that is the forces of attraction and repulsion between the atoms and molecules. Atoms and molecules means the interacting particles are called intermolecular forces. These forces exist in solid state also, these forces exist in liquid state also and in gas state also. In solid state they are highest, then liquid state they are moderate, and in gaseous state the intermolecular forces are weakest. But suppose if in general someone asks you that what is the nature of intermolecular forces, so basically these are weak forces. these are not as strong as your chemical bond. Okay, so intermolecular forces of attraction, they are present in all the states of matter, but basically the nature is weak force. The intermolecular force of attraction is present in all the molecules, between all the molecules. They are present in polar molecules also. They are present in non-polar molecules also. Okay, so between any two atom or between any two molecule, whether they are similar or dissimilar, there is always a force of attraction, that is intermolecular force. For example, in our room air is present. Now air means the molecules of oxygen are also there. O2, 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 O2. Okay, so this is the molecule of oxygen. Okay, now between these molecules there must be some force of attraction. That's why these O2 molecules are together. So there is force of attraction here also. Now in the room nitrogen is also there. Okay, there must be some force of attraction between the N2 N2 molecules like this. Now between O2 and N2 also there is force of attraction. So these forces of attraction exist between the similar molecules or atoms or between the dissimilar molecules or atoms. Means between every atom or molecule there is some force of attraction. Okay. Now these forces of attraction were first of all studied by a scientist, van der Waal. Okay. So in his honor, these intermolecular forces are also known as van der Waal forces. Okay, because the existence of such type of forces were first of all proposed by van der Waals only. So these forces are also known as van der Waal forces. Okay, so first of all we are going to discuss that how many types of van der Waal forces are there, or how these forces originate, means why there is attraction between O2 and O2. Okay, why there is attraction between O2 and N2. Because in physics we have learned that attraction is only when there is some opposite charge is there. Okay, opposite pole is there, then only attraction is there. Okay, so how to explain the origin of these attractive forces? So first of all we are going to discuss that thing in detail. The intermolecular forces arise due to following types of interactions. So now we are discussing the origin of these intermolecular forces, and the first is dipole-dipole force. We know the meaning of dipole. Okay, this we have learnt in unit number 4. Dipole means a polar molecule having two opposite poles, positive and negative. Okay, so these type of forces occur in molecules having permanent dipoles. Okay, now what are the examples? Ammonia, HCl, okay, water, best example. So dipole-dipole forces are operative among those molecules which have permanent dipoles. Suppose this is a polar molecule. Okay, now A and B have different electronegativities. What will happen? There will be partial positive charge on one atom and partial negative charge on the another atom due to electronegativity difference, del plus and del minus. Okay, so this is a polar molecule. Now when the two polar molecules come close, okay, so suppose this is my second polar molecule, like this. Now here also del plus and del minus. Now when these polar molecules come close, what will happen? Definitely the negative end of one molecule will start attracting the positive end of another molecule, like this. So some sort of attraction is there, and this attraction is known as dipole force, or this attraction is known as van der Waal force of attraction. So polar molecules have attraction, and why the polar molecules have attraction in between them? Because they have charges, they are charged molecules, like this. The second type of intermolecular force is dipole induced dipole force. Now dipole, you know, that is polar molecule. Now what is the meaning of induced? Induced means earlier polarity was not there, but afterwards polarity has been developed. Okay, it is developed, induced. Okay, so this type of intermolecular force is found in those molecules. So between polar molecule, so one molecule is polar having permanent dipole, okay, and non-polar molecule. So one molecule is polar and one molecule is non-polar. That is not having any polarity, that is not having any charge. Now what are the examples of non-polar molecules? Your noble gases, they are non-polar. Okay, iodine I2, it is non-polar, O2, it is non-polar, like this. Okay. Now what happens in this case? So suppose this is a molecule having permanent dipole, del plus and del minus. Okay, so this molecule is having a permanent dipole. Okay, and one molecule is non-polar. So this is a non-polar molecule. Okay. Now in non-polar molecule there is no as such charge separation. Okay, the electron cloud is spherical. This is positive nucleus, these are the protons. Now these are the electrons. The electrons are uniformly distributed. The electron cloud is symmetrical like this. Okay, now what will happen? So when these two come close to each other, now what this dipolar molecule will do? It will exert an electric field, and because of the electric field of this dipole or polar molecule, the electron cloud of the non-polar molecule is deformed. Okay, so there is shift in the center of negative charge relative to the nucleus like this. So this is your polar molecule, this is your permanent dipole, and because of its influence, what will happen? The electron cloud is deformed now. Okay, now the electron cloud is deformed means the distribution of electron is now not symmetrical. Okay, so there is generation of positive and negative charge, which is known as induced dipole. Okay, like this. The diagram is only for reference purpose. It never happens that protons come on one side and electrons go on another side. It is only for reference purpose. Okay, so what this diagram is saying, that now the electron cloud is not symmetrical. The electronic distribution has become unsymmetrical, and because of this some polarity is induced. So as long as they are in contact with each other, this polarity will remain. Suppose if you remove this polar molecule, what will happen? Again it will become non-polar. Okay, so definitely attraction is there. Okay, and this attraction is known as, this is dipole. So this attraction is known as dipole induced dipole forces. So these type of attractive forces exist between one polar and one non-polar molecule. As long as they are in contact, the attraction will remain. If they are apart, again the polar will remain as it is. The second one will become non-polar. The third type is dispersion forces or London forces. London was the scientist who discovered such type of attractive forces, and such type of forces operate among non-polar molecules. Both the molecules are non-polar. Okay, for example, now noble gases. Okay, now you know we can fill any helium gas in a cylinder. It means there must be some attractive forces between one helium atom and another helium atom. Just now I gave you the example that in our room O2 molecules are also there, N2 molecules are also there. Now O2 is what? Non-polar. N2 is what? Non-polar. Okay, so between the non-polar molecules, these type of forces exist. Now how to explain the origin of these forces? Both the molecules are non-polar. Both the molecules are non-polar means the electron cloud is symmetrical. There is no polarity at all. So this is also non-polar and this is also non-polar. Okay. Now in order to explain the origin of these attractive forces, or how there is some force of attraction between the non-polar molecules, it was assumed that suppose two atoms are close to each other. Now, because of the motion of electrons, because electrons are negatively charged particles and electrons are continuously moving. Okay, so we can imagine that because of the motion of electrons, okay, listen carefully, because of the, we are just imagining, okay, so we can imagine that because of the motion of electrons, for a fraction of time, the electronic charge distribution in one of the atoms can become unsymmetrical. Okay, so suppose this is my atom A and this is my atom B, and because of the electronic distribution here, suppose there are 100 atoms. Now out of those 100 atoms, suppose one or two atoms develop this kind of change in the distribution of electrons. So what will happen? The electronic cloud is now not symmetrical. Suppose it is del plus and del minus. So polarity is developed, and that polarity is known as instantaneous dipole. Now what is the meaning of instantaneous dipole? That is originated for a very, very short period of time. For a fraction of time, the electronic distribution is unsymmetrical. Now after, as the time is passed, again the molecule become non-polar. So instantaneous dipole means only for a short period of time. So molecule is non-polar. For a short period of time it will become polar, again non-polar, again polar, like this. So it will go on like this. Now as soon as dipole is introduced, a dipole originates in one of the atoms or molecule, it will induce dipole in the second molecule. So we can call it as instantaneous induced dipole. So it is just an imagination that because of the electronic motion, the charge becomes unsymmetrical in one of the atoms. That is called instantaneous dipole, and that induces dipole in another molecule, that is instantaneous induced dipole. Okay, now there will be attraction between the two, and this attraction is known as London force. So molecule, first they are non-polar, they become polar, again non-polar, so it goes on like this. Now the next type of van der Waals force or intermolecular force is hydrogen bonding. Now hydrogen bonding is a special case of dipole-dipole force. Okay, because it is not found in all the molecules. We have learnt in unit number 4. Okay, hydrogen bonding is found only in special molecules. Okay, in those molecules where hydrogen is attached to fluorine, hydrogen is attached to oxygen, or hydrogen is attached to nitrogen. Okay, so now what will happen? Now it is del plus, it is del minus. So there will be some attractive force like this. Okay, so hydrogen bonding is considered as a special case of dipole-dipole force, where hydrogen atom is bonded to highly electronegative elements like fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen. Okay, so this is also considered as a type of intermolecular forces, but it is not found in all the molecules. Okay, only in limited number of molecules it exists. So these are the 4 types of intermolecular forces: dipole-dipole forces, dipole induced dipole forces, okay, London forces and hydrogen bonding. But apart from this, okay, there are some ion dipole attractions also. These ion dipole attractions are not a part of your van der Waals forces. Ion dipole attractions are never called as van der Waals forces. Okay, but such type of attractive forces also exist. Now how they exist? So I am taking one example here. Suppose you dissolve NaCl in water. Okay, now NaCl easily dissolves in water. So when you dissolve NaCl in water, what happens? Your NaCl dissociates into Na plus and Cl minus. Now this is Na plus and this is Cl minus. These are the 2 ions. Now what will happen? Water is a polar molecule. It is a dipole. Okay, water is a dipole. So when NaCl is dissolved in water, it dissociates into Na plus and Cl minus. Now what will happen? This is positive ion. So what this positive ion will do? It will attract the negative end like this. So it will attract the negative end of water molecule. So the water molecules will surround Na plus like this. Likewise, it is negative ion, so it will attract the positive end of your molecule like this. So your Cl minus and your Na plus are surrounded by water molecules like this. So definitely some attraction is there. That's why the water molecules are coming close. And this type of attraction is known as ion dipole attractions. Although it is not included in van der Waals forces, but such attractions also exist. Now the next thing that we are going to discuss is thermal energy. Now thermal energy is the energy of the body due to its motion or movement of its atoms or molecules. So as the movement of particles increase, the thermal energy also increases. Now we have, suppose this is gas, this is liquid and this is solid. Okay, so from here to here what happens? The motion of the particles increases. In solid the particles have least movement, in gases they have highest movement. So from here to here your thermal energy will increase. Okay, so from solid to liquid and liquid to gas the thermal energy increases. But as we move from here to here, that is gas to solid, the intermolecular attractions increase. So these two are reverse of each other. So there are two things, the intermolecular forces and the thermal energy. Okay, and these two are just opposite of each other. From solid to gas the thermal energy increases, but from gas to solid the intermolecular attractions increase. So solid, liquid and gases, they are not the permanent states, they are interchangeable. Solid when heated change to liquid, liquid when heated change to gas, and suppose gases are cooled they change into liquid, and when liquid is cooled it changes to solid. And the temperature at which solid changes to liquid is known as melting point. Okay, solid changes to liquid. Now what is boiling point? The temperature at which your liquid changes to gas. Okay, for example ice, water and steam. Okay, these are the three states. You can change ice to water, water to steam, and opposite can also be done. So this was all about the introduction of intermolecular forces. Okay, three states of matter like this.